Welcome to Conversation with H, and we have a super guest with us today, founder of and blogger on Gospel Hydration and record label Hydration Records, radio presenter on Premier Gospel. Make sure you go check that. It's Wednesday, isn't it?
Yeah, Wednesday evenings, 11 till 1 in the morning.
11 till 1, go check that out. He's an international traveler, a bookworm, he's a husband to Beth, he's a father of 2 sons. I introduced to you Derek. Is it Chi?
Chi, yeah.
See?
No, you got it right. A lot of people say
get it wrong,
Chi or something, but it's Chi. It's Chi, yeah.
So for those who don't know who you are, Derek, how would you describe yourself?
I like to see myself as like a background person, but even though I'm a background person, I'm a support. And you know, it's funny because even my name actually means strong tower, but also at the same time there's vehicles called cranes, and they're called derricks. So it's like you actually use them as a support. So it's weird that like I feel like that's where I'm positioned as a support, but also that's what my name signifies as well. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I would say that I'm a support. I love being in the background, but also seeing people grow and prosper, like in like especially like creatively. Yeah. So I love like excellence and people actually improving and increasing on their craft as well. And I love to just be not just someone who views it, but someone who can support and invest into that as well. So that's who I would say that I am.
So away from Derek, the guy who's trying to push gospel music forward, who is Derek the man?
Derek the man. That's a difficult one. It's not difficult because I know who I am, but it's like more. So Derek the man, I would say that I'm.
Or are they one in the same?
Yeah, I feel like they're one in the same, but also I'm someone who likes to. I would say like give a lot of love and see things like through to the end and really try to help where I can. And whether it's music or whether it's like outside of that, I like to be able to be in situations where I can literally contribute, but not just contribute, but actually really contribute. You know, you get a lot of people who they'll just do things for charitable reasons, but it's not really, that's not their heart. But I like to just really do things and see things through to the end. So I'm definitely that person as well.
Now that sounds good. Give me one moment from your childhood that you remember.
One moment from my childhood. I would probably say one moment that really impacted me was probably in primary school, and I used to play rugby. Yeah, primary school and secondary school, and
you was playing rugby in primary school.
Yeah. But in primary school it's tag rugby. So we had like so in Kent they had the national rugby tournament. So schools from all the areas in Kent used to come together and do a big tournament. And that's the our school won the tournament, but then there was a picture that got taken of me and I was in the newspaper like in primary school, and I was like, for me that's a big achievement. But also it's funny because my parents like always like saw my brother more as the more kind of sporty guy, and then me, I was like I was just there, but I was kind of like, as you would say, like an average person at everything.
Got ya.
But then obviously rugby was where I felt like I really loved it, and then I had that picture in the newspaper. My parents actually kept the newspaper and was showing all their like friends and family as well. So that was definitely a big moment for me, like when I was a kid.
So how did that those types of moments that you have when you kid impact you now?
I'd say it impacts me a lot because it's like them moments were, to me, it showed me in a place where I actually had fun as well as excelling at something. Because I didn't really, and it was something where it was almost second nature to me and not something that was forced. So it's like, you know, like some people are like, oh, I'm going to be the best at this. For me, that wasn't that. I was just playing and I was enjoying myself. Because I was a kid as well and I was just playing. And then my pictures in the newspapers, it wasn't even a thing that I was trying to do or trying to
you
get
weren't
there.
trying to get the newspaper. It just happened.
It just happens, yeah. So I'd say
yeah.
that really kind of brings me to now, like, and I really feel that I do continue to do that now as well. So now like, I'm very like easy and laid back and you know what I mean? And like I don't take things too seriously or don't try to, even if I've got like, I don't know, a big audience or whatever, I don't try and say that, oh, okay, because it's here, I'm gonna act like this. Like to me, I'll just stay consistent and just continue to do what I want to do.
So what was your family dynamic like growing up? You spoke about your brother.
Yeah. So I'd say because I was the eldest, like I feel like there was a lot of pressure on me.
Yeah.
But also I felt like because of I was the oldest, there was that pressure. But my brother who's just below me, he got a lot more of the love I felt, like support. But it's because I had like a higher expectation of me.
Yes.
So it's like that put me in a place where, cause you know when you're a kid, you don't know what you want to do.
No.
Like even in secondary school, you don't know where you want to go. You don't know if you want to be this or be that. I didn't find what I wanted to do until like maybe late 20s nearly. Really? Yeah, and it's interesting because in school you kind of, when you're just about leaving, I think that's the hard part when you just leave year 11 and it's like, okay, what do I do now? Do I go the uni way,
or do I go
college?
The job rate?
So it's like you're trying to figure out what is it you want to do, but no one really knows what they want to do at that time, really.
No, you don't. You're just kind of trying to go with stuff that you're kind of good at.
Yeah.
You think, if I'm good at this, maybe I should be doing this.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I felt like my parents, like, you know, a lot of our parents want to try and guide our decisions. And my dad wanted me to go into electrical engineering, and so I've done that for a year at college.
Yeah, well, you're
I'm not an electrical engineer. I won't do that at all. I used to come home with headaches because of the soldering. That was bad.
You weren't feeling it at all,
not at all. So I'd done that for a year, and I told my dad that I didn't want to do that no more. He was upset, but I couldn't do it.
So when you told your dad you didn't want to do it, what was you telling him you were going to do instead?
I said I wanted to do media, and then obviously
that's a whole
He was like, "What can you get with media?"
So I guess he didn't see the vision.
No, he couldn't see the vision. But most parents can't, where you're saying that you want to do media or do something.
Yeah, because you know what it is, when they look at like people on, say like a YouTube, or they look at people who are doing like TV, they see people as like, unless you're at an elite level, you're just at the bottom with everyone else. Like there's not other stages or levels you can kind of go to.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that you told your dad you wanted to do media. So when did he start like supporting the media? Was it when he saw like the output of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was after a while though, because I think for a while I remember even while I was doing Gospel Hydration and even when I was earning a like good enough salary, which kind of rivaled like a normal 9 to 5, but still I think even at that time I would still go to aunties' houses and they're saying, "Oh, when you're going back to uni," or when you know what I mean, and it's still like that. So I still get that conversation, but now it's a little different because they're seeing a lot more, and now they're like, I'm on Premier Gospel, and they're the ones that listen to Premier Gospel.
So they're like, that's how you're making the money.
So they start to see it. But it's weird that people don't support it until they see it, really.
That's everything, though.
Yeah, it's true.
That's everything. So it's interesting that you say that as well, because was there a moment, you know, because you talked about the media, having that conversation with your dad, was there a moment, you know, in your life that kind of changed your trajectory in your adulthood? Was there a moment that happened that changed that or changed your plans?
I would say probably like what put me a lot more on track, which is quite interesting, is when I became a lot more serious with my faith. Because before that I was kind of like I believed in God, and obviously my parents went to church and brought me to church, but you know, there's that moment that just clicks with you. And I feel like that moment, I think I was about probably 18. And the funny thing is, you had Earl on your show, isn't it? So me and Earl kind of grew up together.
Okay.
So we were it's funny because we were both unsaved when we met as friends, and we both were we both became Christians at the same time, and in the same church as well. So it's like it's so funny because we both knew what we was like before. And we both knew the transition as well. So it's like that time, I feel like that was the pivotal moment where it was like, okay, I need to get something on track, you know what I mean? And try and have some sort of purpose. What is the purpose of this life and what is the purpose of what I'm doing as well? So it's like, I felt like, 18, 19 was the like pivotal moment when I took the faith walk a bit more serious. And it gave more direction to my life as it was,
So so that happened at 18, 19. How did you then cope with your family dynamic changing with your mother passing away? How did you cope with that? Because you was in the faith at that point. So how did you cope with that?
That one was really difficult, I feel, because obviously growing up in church, you kind of like, when certain things come up like illnesses and things, you always like, everyone's praying, and it kind of felt quite surreal, really. And at that time, it was like, my mum was obviously quite young and passed away. We were like in our 20s. My youngest brother and sister, they were like under 18, like still like secondary school. So it impacted everyone quite heavy, if you know what I mean. So, but I did really feel that during that time, I felt my relationship with God became even stronger.
Really?
But the funny thing is, it became stronger because I took it even more seriously, because for me, it was like, I went to church and like everyone was singing all these praise songs and worship songs, and I couldn't really sing them because I was thinking, what am I grateful for? What am I, you know what I mean? I'm losing my mum, or my mum's just been lost, so what am I, why everyone's like happy and doing this, and I'm thinking, I've lost my mum, so there's nothing to be grateful for or happy for, you know what I mean? So you go into a quiet state. I would probably say that's probably depression, really, isn't it? Like going into a place where you can't even worship because you're thinking, what am I worshipping for? Like, I've got nothing to be grateful for, nothing to be like happy for. Like, my mum's literally on her deathbed, and it's like people be around you, be like, oh, be strong, do this and that, and it doesn't work because there's nothing you can really say to someone who's in that position.
You can't.
So the funny thing was, like, I came across a scripture saying, what scripture was it? It was like, when in our weakness, that's when he is strong. And I think that passage really took me on a different road, because everyone's saying, be strong or anything, and then it's like, in that you're like, okay, I can be weak, and I can be it's fine to be weak, and it's fine to be you know what I mean. And it's knowing that it isn't my role to try and play the strong one, you know what I mean, in that situation, because God's with me and he's there with me, but also he knows that I'm hurting deep inside, you know what I mean. And it's like, don't put on the front, you're not, you know what I mean? You don't need to. I'll be your strength in that time. And that's how you kind of, I navigated through that situation, because my mum, obviously I was a mummy's boy, so I was always close to my mum, and I felt like through that time it was a very difficult time, because it's like you always go to your mum with your problems, or you'll talk to your mum about all of this stuff, and your dynamic with your mum was always different to your dad, wasn't it, really? So it was very hard, because I didn't know how to even communicate or talk to my dad through that season as well, because it's like, what do you sort of say? Really, like that's kind of what it was. But with your mum, and then you don't have that person to talk to anymore, and so I do feel like it changed a lot, but it did make me sort of kind of start kind of praying more and kind of spending more time with God as well.
So you started to look to God more for your help, really. More so than just like, you might go to mum for this and this and that. But now it's like, okay, now I've lost that physical person there, so now I've got to really rely on God more than I did before. Which is, it's crazy, because people can go either way. Certain people get stronger with God, and certain people move further away.
Go like, way off.
You've taken something from me that I don't fully understand. In terms of how did you talked about how you coped. What did you learn about yourself in that moment? Considering you're the oldest as well.
What did I learn? I feel probably that I learned that it was important to now like that's probably when a lot of my independence came as well, because obviously you have the family dynamics and everyone's close and stuff, but when you lose that or that's broken, it's like an independence comes from that as well, and it's sort of a loneliness kind of thing. So you need to be able to move a little different and kind of do things a little. I would say probably I learned that I need to start trusting a lot more in my own decisions as well, my decision making, and really kind of being like, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is how it's going to work, and like whether I fail or anything, it's all down to me to take responsibility over that. And I feel like sometimes we can have crutches in our lives. Not saying that my mum was a crutch or anything, but it's like
a reliance.
A reliance, yeah. So you kind of, that independence comes and you're not reliant on a lot of the things that you were before because you haven't got time to be, you know what I mean? Or there's nothing you can be reliant on. So you literally have to go down that route. And I was really thinking about my younger siblings and stuff and thinking how, like, they're going through that, but they need someone as well there. So it's like you need to like kind of step up and be like, okay, I've been chilling, like, but I need to literally get more serious with my life and a lot of things. So I definitely feel that it did bring a layer of like sort of maturity to me going through that time. Yeah.
So 18, 19, you become more serious in terms of taking the faith. You move closer to God.
Yeah.
As you get into your 20s, your mother passes away, and you then get closer to God again. You become a father. What happens then? Do you again move closer to God, or does that?
Do you know it's funny? Like it's kind of felt like I feel like because you know, like even after, one thing I haven't spoke about as much, like when I've spoken out with people and stuff, like people don't really know too much about what happened between my mum and like this moment. So my mum passed away of cancer, and then a year later I got diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer as well myself. So this is like, it's crazy. So that happened to my mum. A year later, that happened to me. And then I went through 6 months, of chemotherapy. What? And praise God that I'm all clear and everything now. But imagine you're going through, you've lost your mum, and then the next year you go through that. And I almost, when it happened, I almost laughed, and I was thinking, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, what's happening? And it's like, it was a real like trying season of my life, and I really feel that during that time, like, that's when I even drew even closer to God. And it's weird because it felt like all of this is happening around me, and it's like people are not knowing like what's going on. But it's like I was thinking, what is happening? Like, all of this is happening at a similar time, and it just felt like there was attacks and things coming from every angle. And it's like, what am I doing something wrong? Like, is there anything that, like, what have I done to sort of kind of, you know, you get into that thing where a lot of like secular people go and they go, oh, I can't believe in God because he's done this to this person, or I went through this, why would he put me through all of this? And I was having them sort of moments in my head where I'm thinking, God, like, I just lost my mum last year, and then this is happening. So I'm dealing with this, and like, it's not like I'm a big man. I'm like 25, you know what I mean? And I'm going through all of that, and I'm thinking, what's happening? And then people talk to you, but they don't really understand because they can't sort of relate on that level. So it's like people just saying all of this stuff, and you're really thinking, okay, Lord, what is this? So like, what's going on? But then I just, it's funny because Gospel Hydration actually came out of all of that. It was birthed from all of that season, because there was one day I was in the CT machine and I was going in, and it's a big round thing, and you go straight through, and it's like up at the ceiling they have like pictures like and moving images and stuff just to keep you more relaxed. And it was like there was an ocean and water and stuff like that. And what came to my head was hydration. And it's like, out of that, I was like, Lord, if even if I had like, I don't know, 1 more year on this earth, or 2 more years, what is it that you want me to do? And it was like, that's where gospel hydration came out of that. And then I was like, okay, Lord, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this for you. And that's when real purpose really came into my life. It's crazy, isn't it? So, and that's what really like drove me. And that's why gospel hydration is so important to me as well. And it really, it's like something where I feel like, okay, this support for artists is not just birthed by my own sort of thing. It's something a lot deeper than that. You know what I mean? This is something that God wants as well. And that's where all of that came from. And it's like I got the all clear in like after the 6 months of chemo. And then I was just like, that's when I was just like full steam ahead, gospel hydration.
Because at that point, you're thinking you ain't really got that much time.
Nah, I was thinking, I didn't even get the results back saying that I was going to be all clear, but I was thinking, like, I don't know, I was like, if I give them 2 years left and they say 2 years, and I was just like, this is something that I have to do. It's crazy.
Why is that story not told more in terms of how you created gospel, why you created gospel hydration? Because people support it anyway. It's an amazing platform anyway. But the story behind it is much deeper than what the platform looks like. So why don't you...
I feel like I struggled a while, like kind of talking about it, because I felt that, because with obviously cancer and stuff like that, whenever I hear anyone talking about cancer, I still sometimes get a bit, you know what I mean? Because obviously my only experience with it was my mum passing from it. So my only experience with cancer was always death. So for me to overcome that, like whenever anyone says anything about it, I still get a bit, because I hear loads of people always like passing away from it or something's happening, and it's kind of still, I'm still battling slightly with that. I haven't fully overcome maybe the like
the feeling of
feeling and fear of it as well. So it's still something that I'm still dealing with it. So it is always a bit difficult to talk about it. You know what I mean?
And I appreciate you sharing that with us, because it's just like, people are just not going to know. Because gospel hydration probably at that point was still just in its infancy, but it was building. But people are not going to know, this is your story. So this is partly why I have the platform. This is mainly why I have a platform like this, is because people will know you from doing gospel hydration, but don't know the story. They don't know the story of your life and what you've built personally to do what you do professionally, if that makes sense. So I really appreciate you sharing that story, and I appreciate you and what you've already built with gospel hydration and what's going to come, because there's clearly a reason why the cancer that your mum had and how you dealt with that, and then you getting cancer a year later, there's a reason why like none of those things really like took you out. There's a reason why like you had to then just flip a switch, and now you just proper focused and like trying to get these things done, because you're moving like there's not time left. Do you know what I mean?
Almost. It's like that.
So I really appreciate you sharing that story. So then you've gone through all of that. You become a father. Is that just now easy now because you've gone through what you've gone through? Is that still difficult?
Honestly, I'd say probably life is a little easier now because of all of that. Because the thing is, it's so crazy, because even like going through the chemo and stuff, because it was quite a late stage, they was like to me, I might not even be able to have children. So imagine that as well. And then I have a son, and it's like, for me, it's just like, I was like, okay, God, this is you. This is definitely you. Going through all of that. And that's what, it did make it a little easier. It still does have its challenges, but it made like coping with different situations. I was a bit more open to like sort of dealing with them and be like, okay, let's get through this. We can get through it. If I got through that, then this is something we could definitely get through.
And now you're super grateful, because now you something that they said potentially you might not be able to do. You've now birthed a son out.
That it's crazy, man. Like, it just feels like, it almost feels like it feels like a mixture of like some of the Bible stories that goes in that lot, and other people as well, and I really feel like I've been through a lot of that, and I feel like the Lord's just now bringing everything back. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy.
Yeah.
Because like I've watched you do interviews, I've watched you talk and all these kind of things, and I think to myself like, there's a lot behind you that comes out in those interviews, but I feel like there's still like there's other stuff there.
Yeah.
And I when I hear you talk, I'm just like, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
there's a lot.
Gospel Hydration all makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the level that Gospel Hydration sets all makes sense because they've got you behind it.
Yeah, we're pushing it.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I hear that.
And you're pushing it from a different level. How far do you want Gospel Hydration to go?
For me, like the whole focus was really to, for Gospel Hydration to really become a part of culture where it's actually influencing not just the music but popular culture in itself as well. Because I feel like there needs to be a lot more love in it. Yeah. The music like which is out there, there's not much love, and it's a lot of it is created by people who are hurt or broken, and I feel like a lot of broken music comes out, and it then kind of imparts on other people as well. So I feel like the music industry needs a lot more love in it, and Gospel Hydration, I feel like it's going to grow into a place where it's going to become a pivotal part of that, whether it's in sort of the development of artists themselves and be able to actually show more love on them, and then they're able to get through a lot of things instead of just being maybe a label where you pick up an artist and it's just about the money or finances.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's actually about the development of that person as well as who they are as an artist as well. So I'll definitely say that, because I feel like with Gospel Hydration, even though it came out of the place it came out of, a lot of it as well was because I had a passion for Christian musicians. Because when I first got saved, it was actually through Christian music. I was interested, because I went to an event, I can't remember, like, it was somewhere in London, but it was an event where, and I didn't know there was even Christian music like this.
Really?
I was like, it was Christian rappers, and I was like, I've never heard of a Christian rapper before.
Wow.
And that was obviously before I became, I was a Christian, but I didn't really know about it. And I went to this and I was just like, and then my brother, like just below me, started doing Christian music as well. He started rapping and doing all of this stuff. And then he obviously fizzled off it and came off it. But the one thing I remember him saying all the time, because we were in Kent, he was trying to get in the scene, in the Christian scene in London, but he felt like there was no support, or people didn't really want him there, and everything like that. And I felt like we need to create something where there's a lot more support in the Christian music scene as well. And it's not just a thing where you have your own clique and then everyone's
trying to get into that clique.
And it needs to be something that's like, regardless if you have your little clique there, there's a larger scene there for it.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's where I felt that it needs to go, because I feel like my brother got hurt from that, and then he stopped making Christian music because he felt like there's no one really cares. You know what I mean? There's no support. Or if there is people that care, they see him as competition, and then it's like, you know what I mean? And it becomes a whole thing.
Why they're not supporting. Yeah, 100%.
So that's a part of it as well, because I feel like we need to give open opportunity to everyone, because I feel like everyone can develop and get better. And there's some artists today who you'll hear and you'll see, and you'll be like, a couple of years ago they were still making music, but it wasn't on the level that they're making it now. So I always see that, okay, there's some development available in all of these artists, but it's just trying to get them to that place. But then everyone still deserves the same platform at each stage.
Same kind of opportunity.
Yeah.
Definitely. I definitely hear that. And you've got the Hydration Festival, Hydration Records. Obviously, you've got a vision for that. If I was to say to you, in the next 12 months, where do you expect all of those three things to be? What would you say?
Yeah, so with the so Hydration Records is where we're focused a lot more on. So it's more investment into the label, but also the development of the artists in there. And also Hydration Festival. I've been talking with there's an organisation in Ipswich that have like farmland and stuff. So we've been able to actually get space for a festival. But then obviously something on that sort of scale was going to require a lot of capital. So like we're trying to figure out how can we sort of either raise that capital or kind of get to a place where we can create a festival like this.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about at the moment. And Gospel Hydration, that's just growing how it is. But we're going to start doing a lot more of our original content. And because we feel like a lot of it's curated, but we need a lot more original content on the platform for us to go to the next level from where we are now.
Yeah. So in all of this, you spend a lot of time on Gospel Hydration. You've now got the radio show on Premier Gospel as well. But then you've also got married.
Yeah.
How does marriage now alter where you spend your time?
Do you know what's funny to it? I feel like it's actually made me more driven, like being in marriage, which is crazy because it feels like I've even got more time to work on GH, which is very weird.
Really?
Because you think it wouldn't.
Like
be.
You gotta split the time.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like that because I feel like my wife's quite supportive of what I do, and we're both quite busy. So she runs coffee shops as well. She owns 2 coffee shops.
Nice.
Yeah, so she does that, and she works like most of the week, and then I'm doing GH as well. And it's like we're able to like come together like end of the day after work's finished, and it's just our time, you know what I mean? And obviously like that's the time we spend together. And then it's like when we're at dinner, it's funny that little habits, like even just sitting at the table together, and like kind of sitting at the table and eating dinner together, but talking about our day. You wouldn't see how important them little things are, because before that, I used to just eat my dinner on my lap, watching TV. You know what I mean? While you're doing all of this stuff. But I feel like marriage has sort of brought a lot of order to my life, because before that, it would have been like just 100% Gospel Hydration. You know what I mean? And I'm just eating junk food, like ordering takeaway, all of this stuff. It's like that's what it is, because it's like you're not really like, I don't know.
Like food is kind of secondary to what you're passionate
about.
I'm with you.
So you're just doing what you're doing, and then you might get hungry, you order like takeaway from Chicken and Chip Shop or wherever, Chinese or something. Yeah. So it felt like that, but I feel like marriage has brought a lot of order and stability to just everything. So it's like it's not 100% Gospel Hydration. It's now sort of like spending time with family and wife.
That's good.
And it's good because it gives me more focus on GH, because I'm able to split it up now. Yeah. So I'm able to be like, okay, this time's with my wife. In the morning, I'm driven to get GH stuff done, and then by 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, whenever I want to finish, and then it's like back to family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What did you learn about yourself most whilst you've been married?
I would say marriage is a whole different sort of like experience to like your walk. If you're single, or if you're even in a relationship, if you're going back to your home at night, it's completely different.
1000%.
It's completely different. So being like kind of marriage, I felt about myself like I needed to open up more, because I wasn't really open. Well, I was open, but it wasn't like, you know, when if you have a wife, it's like that person becomes one with you. So you have to be so vulnerable, and you both need to know everything about each other almost. So it was very difficult to even do things by myself. Do things together.
Because you're doing things by yourself.
Yeah, because you're so used to just doing things by yourself that when you're doing things together, it feels a bit weird. Like, and how much do I share, or how much? Even though you should share everything, but it's like okay, I'm doing this, but then it's like even like sort of what helped a lot was joining bank accounts and things like that, because obviously we've got a joint account now, and it helps so much. And it's funny because it's only a little thing, but it helps like.
It will spark conversation. And all them.
And also you start to like think about, okay, how much? What's our budget for like food spending and all of this sort of stuff? Like you're thinking about, and it's before you're not thinking about all of that stuff, and then now it's like, okay, do I have enough money to do this? And even though like before I'd be like, I could spend money and then I have naught in my bank account and I'll be fine. Like that's what I was like in my single life. And like, the next day I might get a little bit of money, but now it's like
have to budget.
You have to budget, and you have to be like, I can't have naught in my drink, because what if my son's going to like, I know he's going football the next day, then you have to pay for like whatever you got. There's a lot more structure that needs to happen when you're married or when you're. So that structure came a lot more when I was married. So that's what I learned more about myself. Probably.
Nah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good because especially when you're single, you're not thinking. Sometimes you don't even really plan for the next few days.
Nah.
You kind of like, if the money's here now, the money might not be here next week. The money might not be here next week, so let me just spend what I need to spend now. And then when you get married, you start to think, okay, I've got to start planning stuff now, years in advance. Not even just like next week. And I start thinking, if I have a child, if he's going to be in school, primary school, secondary school, all these kind of costs you start to think about in your head. And I think it's key that, it's helped you to essentially prioritize your time.
Yeah, definitely.
Better than what you were doing before. What do you feel like in this next 12 months you need to get rid of? So one thing you need to get rid of for you to move forward and to be better, and one thing you need to do more of?
Yeah. I would say probably be a little more proactive with like some of the ideas that I have, because a lot of them I'm just sitting on them.
Really?
But yeah, there's a lot of.
You don't seem like the person to be sitting on ideas.
No, that's the funny thing. I do it a lot, but then there's certain things that I know I need to get into motion, because like if I don't, it's gonna be like, okay, next year now the same goals are gonna be brought over to the next year, because I'm trying to at the moment write a book. Yeah, and it's gonna be like on all of this, but it's gonna be called Gospel Hydration. So the like origin of it as well, and kind of talking about like Christian music, the support and side, and obviously going through what I went through and what kind of it brought about and stuff. So things like that, I've started it. I've got all the chapters, everything's there written, but it's actually getting to the writing part, which is sometimes a bit. It's like when I get home, I want to just chill and watch whatever. You want to be on Netflix watching Ozark or whatever. Yeah, so I'm doing that, but then I need to really get a lot of them into motion more. So I'd say probably the comfortability of just being where I am. Because sometimes you can get a little bit comfortable and not really like be striving or pushing as much as you was before, because you feel like a lot more set. You know what I mean? Yeah. Especially being married, like you said, like brings stability. So you're not thinking, like it's almost you have to motivate yourself. Because
you're not trying to take too much risks.
I hear you, definitely. Yeah, definitely. You're not taking too much risk, because you're thinking that
if this happens, then it's going to affect. It's not just affecting you no more.
No. It affects
everyone.
The whole
household and everyone that's with it.
Because it's even like today, it's like, my wife's gone to see a friend, and I was just like, I was like, oh yeah, I can drop you there because I'm going to be in London as well. And it's like, luckily it was like close where it's like, it works. And I was just like, okay, that's perfect. And then, so it's like little things you have to bring into account of that, all of that, isn't it? Really,
500%. My last question to you. This has been a great conversation, by the way. Really appreciate you.
No, I really enjoyed it, man.
My last question would be, with where you're at in life now, what advice would you give to yourself?
I would say probably be a lot more careful with kind of how you manage your, like what God's given you, like say Gospel Hydration or anything like say H Conversations and stuff. Be very careful and kind of how you manage it, like, because and who you let into it as well. Because one thing I've realized is that from actually talking about that a little bit, like when I go back just before Gospel Hydration, when I knew I wanted to do this, I reached out to a lot of like the Christian platforms and things, but I didn't get no response. I didn't get no emails back, nothing, and I felt like people were just ignoring me. And then that's when I was like, okay, Gospel Hydration, let's just build this. I'm going to do it by myself. And just built it, no support, anything, and it just grew and grew and grew. And now people are like, we need let's connect, or let's do collaboration with Gospel Hydration. And like one thing I kind of fell into was really, I was like, okay, I'm going to do a collaboration with this person and do that. But I'm doing it more because of what I went through before, where I was trying to reach out to people and people weren't getting back. But then one thing I got from that was that you need to be careful as well, because like when I've done certain collaborations, I've not been fully happy with the output of it. So it's like, obviously, because we're creatives as well, even though people think it's just business, it's not business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that goes into it as well. So it's like, like how there were some events that I've done, there's some things that collaborations that I've done where I've not been fully 100% happy with how it's come out. And it's like, I was like, okay, I wouldn't do that collaboration again, but I'd done it because I was supporting and I was trying to show love, you know what I mean?
Because of what you went through.
Yeah, because I went, what I went through, but then it's like, you always got to remember, like, okay, what is your vision for this? Or what is the vision that God's put on your heart for what you're doing? And if you have an idea of an event, how does it look? And then just go towards that. And if someone else can be an addition to that, then it works. But don't just collab with people because you're trying to just support them. It doesn't work. It needs to actually be like, they need to be an addition to it as well. And they need to be someone that's going to bring about what the vision is for it. So I'll definitely say to myself to really kind of not just do collaborations for collaboration's sake. That's a big part of it. Yeah.
That's good, man. Derek.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you, bro.
This was really good. Really good. And
No,
for you guys watching, thank you for tuning into Conversation with H with the amazing Derek Chi. Make sure you go check out Gospel Hydration. Go check out Premier Gospel, his show every Wednesday, 11 to 1, 11 to 1.
Yeah,
Make sure you go check that out. And we'll have more content coming for you very,